it's all about UK beef, and then through restaurants such as Kitty Fisher's, Donostia, and people started using this this Spanish meat, and it was often from older animals. I mean, we'd sort of been led to believe that young stuff was better, but we sort of learned that it wasn't. And so yeah, I mean, Nemanja was behind a lot of this. He's later he's going to tell you also about how he's then breeding the first UK herd of Galician Blonde, which are they're big,
they're
white
massive,
cows.
yeah, massive animals, yeah. So actually, it all started in 2012. We had opened Donostia, which was like the first Basque pincho tapas restaurant on the edge of Marylebone, and once a year we would take all our staff to San Sebastian to show them the inspiration of the restaurant, of the cooking and so on. And the apartment we're staying in, the owner said, look, why don't you go and try Bar Nestor, which is a tapas pincho restaurant that only serves one tortilla, steak and tomatoes. We all tried the steak there. We're really impressed. We didn't know why it was so good. We did some research, found out it was from a particular breed, that it was from older cattle. We found a way to bring it to our restaurant, to the Nostia. And back then, I was kind of working behind the counter, because we had an open counter. And people were leaving their cards saying, look, next time you have the steak back in, let us know. And I felt I was onto something. I went and spoke to a few people I knew in the industry. Back then it was Thomas at Kitty Fisher's and Goodman and Richard Turner of Turner and George. And
never heard of him.
No, yeah. And yeah, the rest is history. We just I thought that would just be kind of a side hustle to the restaurant business. It turned out that the Galician Blonde beef became really popular. And slowly, Chuleta, which is the name of our beef business, was born.
So the thing about so obviously Galician Blonde's particular breed. Now some of the meat that we get at Turner and George from Chuleta is it's not Galician Blonde, but it's Galician or it's Basque meat. So and it's delicious. And some of that is from cows 5 years upwards or But what makes the Galician Blonde particularly better, and what are its properties, and why would you start a project to literally breed them from nothing? It's going to take you 10 years?
Yeah, 10 years. 10 years
in
minimum.
Hertfordshire, you start, and you're not starting from a pair. You're starting from.
We're doing embryo transfer. So just because Galician Blonde is known for being an old cow, like what we're trying today, I think is like 13, 14 years old. So to kind of rear a herd to a point where you can serve beef from such an old animal, it takes time to grow the herd to a point where you can slaughter, let's say 10, 15, 20%. So from this point, we started about a year ago. It's probably going to take us another, I don't know, maybe 7 or 8 years before we can even try the first British Galician Blonde cow. But
what makes the Galician, so the particular Galician Blonde, better than? I mean, I've had some amazing meat from, all different kinds of cow who have come to the Basque Country or to Galicia. They've been kept for some time, and they're ex-dairy animals. What makes the blonde so good?
So I mean, the I see if it, yeah. Do you want to answer that question? It's like, okay.
We are still talking about the cow show.
So basically, I mean, I wouldn't say that it's necessarily a better tasting cow. It's just that it's different. So because of various regulations, a lot of the beef that we've had in the UK has been from very young cattle.
Yeah.
So, up to 30 months. And that, by default, is kind of closer to veal. So you get a very tender texture of the beef, but you might not get that depth of flavor. And without going into a whole topic about it, the reason behind that was the whole foot and mouth BSC restrictions. So with Galician Blonde, one of the main attributes is the age. So unlike most of the cows that are slaughtered at the age of 2, 3, Galician Blonde cows go to an abattoir at the age of maybe 13, 14, so significantly older.
And can they actually live longer? Just as an animal, they can live longer than other cows.
No. I mean,
No?
most cows have a 20-year lifespan,
Okay.
but mainly for commercial reasons, a cow is slaughtered at the age of 2. So it reaches its body weight and off to the slaughterhouse it goes.
Absolutely, yeah. So that's what I learned, during that time, sort of from probably 2012 onwards. There was a whole kind of movement towards people really wanting to know more about what they're eating, and okay, no, that's fine. That's fine. What's your name, sir?
Fred.
Hello, Fred. Fred.
The thing. Sorry, go on.
Fred is quite right. So what it is people wanting to know more about meat and good meat, why meat is good, and what we found is that it really is economics. The reason that anyone kills anything young, like the words like lamb and sort of pink meat and stuff, it's all because it's cheaper. If you have to keep an animal longer, it costs more money. But because a lot of these animals were ex-dairy, now the blondes, they're not going to be dairy animals. Are they?
No. So this was like the big confusion when we started bringing these cows in. I'm not sure which journalist picked it up first, but somebody said, Galician Blonde are ex-dairy cows, and it kind of stuck on since then. And actually, they're not. They produce veal and they're reproductive cows, but they're not retired dairy cows. And I think there was confusion because we launched the retired dairy cow in the UK with British beef, and I don't think much research was done into it. And kind of the two were mixed up, and even to this day, a lot of people say like, Galician Blonde retired dairy cow, which is not right.
And so this is Galician Blonde from Spain.
Yeah, from Pontevedra in Spain.
So how old? So what's Rich cooking there? So what's he got on the grill?
So we've got a prime rib. So that's and I can see some T-bone there. So prime rib is probably the best of the prime cuts. It's the cap off, no fat, and then with the T-bone you got sirloin on one side, fillet on the other, and as you can see, Rich doing a great job on the grill.
So by the way, Rich here. So he's head chef at Ibai. So that's your latest restaurant.
How you doing?
Rich.
Yeah. Formerly Chiltern Firehouse, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
10 years.
Has anyone been to Ibai? No.
Not yet.
There you go. Got a load of new
It's only
customers.
10 weeks old.
Yeah. Well, these people know about their stuff. So pretty soon, I should imagine you'll be seeing some of these faces. But
I hope so.
So Rich, what have you done? What? So I mean, obviously you've cooked it over fire, but you've got a particular method you use.
Yeah, so I'm a big believer in tempering the meat, salting it heavily, having a close coal to grill to get a nice, a close distance. It's too much distance, I believe, when it's too low, and then you don't get enough sear on the meat. I'm not a big believer at all in the reverse sear, where they just, you slow cook it in an oven, bring it out, and then hit it hard. It's a bit cheating. You don't get the right textures. You don't break down the fat enough. You don't get all that smoke in the char as well. So we salt it, and then I like to hit it on the fat side first. So as you can see, this yellow fat here. So put it on like that. Give it a few minutes just to get it caramelizing. So when you do finish cooking it, this is nice and crispy and rendered down, because there's not many things worse when you're eating beef when it's really big and congealed and blubbery. It's you want it caramelized, you want it smoky, you want it charred,
and
you
what
want it
makes
salty.
So because I mean I know this is low. I mean I've eaten a lot of this meat. But what makes that fat? So if you used to go to sort of Tesco's and get a sirloin steak, it'd be pink meat with white fat, wouldn't it? And this is like the meat's brown and the fat's yellow. Is that the age, or is that?
Part of it is to do with the genetics of the Galician Blonde,
Okay.
but a lot has to do with age and the length of feed. So, most of the cows in Galician Blonde, but also in the UK, are grass-fed. And grass has a natural vitamin carotene that creates this yellow fat. But it can only happen after prolonged time on grass, whether it's in UK, whether it's in Galicia. So because they do it for such a long time in Galicia, that carotene will accumulate in the fat and give it this extra yellow color. But what that really is, and coming back to your question earlier, is it will give it a depth of flavor. So kind of similar to a term that we borrowed from a sommelier, like when you try like a Chateauneuf de Pape or a Ribera del Duero that's been oak aged, you have length, which is basically flavour that stayed with you after a while. That's what you will get with Galician Blonde. You know, you try the beef and you have length, so that you have that depth of flavour that will stay with you. You don't need any sauce with it. It's just the most basic seasoning. We never recommend serving it with any sauce because you have the flavour in.
It's only salt. That's all Rich has put on there, right? Just salt.
Yeah. Sauce with beef that tastes like this.
No. You want to taste that beef.
You have sauce with like fillet steak because it's tender, but it's no flavour.
And how has that been dry aged as well? That.
Yeah, so we don't go crazy on the dry aging. I know there's been kind of a trend over the last few years, but we think about 60 days. Between 50 and 60 is enough to break down the enzymes and to create the beef we're looking for.
That is looking great. So these are my ones, right?
Yeah, they're just yours.
You guys want... Does anyone like steak here? Does anyone... Fred, do you like steak? Yeah, you look like a steak guy.
Lots of vegetarians.
Has anyone had any of this kind of steak before? So has anyone had... Yeah?
Yeah,
Not yet? Okay. All right, well, that's the end of the session, so thanks all for coming, and I'll take this home.
No, I need like another 15 minutes.
Yes, it is coming up. So are you resting this now, Rich?
Yeah, I'm going to give it a rest because I don't want the meat to go too much, and after it starts to rest and cool down a little bit, I'm going to give it one final blast to get another little char on the meat.
You rest, you let the fibres relax, and then you hit it again to toast
just
it on
to
the way
get
out.
another crust on it.
Lovely. And
I want a thick crust and then sear to sear, edge to edge sear on it, so like a nice, even, rested medium rare all the way through.
Medium rare all the way through.
Yeah. That's kind of the most recent trend to get, not to get the sear and then to have it medium with that ring around the edge and then go into the medium rare. You have to be a real ninja in the kitchen to be able to get it charred on the outside and then medium rare edge to edge.
Edge to edge. And I mean, I haven't seen, there's no temperature
no
probe
pressure
here. There's no kind of and no pressure.
No pressure. There is one probe.
There is a probe. Okay, so you're gonna. But I mean, how long? So you were here when we were doing the barrel char, and you sort of started at what 2:30?
2:40. Yeah.
Okay.
I would cook a 1 kg, about 45, and then rest for about 15.
Okay.
So yeah, we should be good to go in about 20
minutes.
And
these are what? These are.
They're all 1 kg.
They're all ones,
so these two are T-bones. So
nice.
you've got on the T-bone.
Yeah.
You've obviously got the bone. That's the T, and then this is the fillet, and then this is the sirloin.
And so what's always seems hard. I'm not. I love eating meat. I love cooking meat, but to get the kind of the fillet and the sirloin sort of both right on the T-bone and at the same time. I mean,
yeah. So the trick is to only really expose the sirloin to the direct heat and kind of keep the fillet away. So it's cooking a bit slower.
Got it. Yeah.
With the higher heat and the slower heat, they should come up together.
I'm getting hungry, Rich. This is. Smells pretty good. That does smell good. And so you've got 60-day ages. So do you get some of those? So what happens when you age the meat? Then it's sort of.
So it breaks down the enzymes and it kind of gives an umami flavour, an additional umami flavour to the beef. But there's a common misconception that dry aging will make tough beef tender.
No.
It can help to a certain degree, but you can't take a bad piece of meat, dry age it for 100 days, and all of a sudden it becomes this amazing beef.
What I'll always say is dry aging I think will make a great piece of meat brilliant. It will not make a bad piece of meat great. You know,
exactly.
And it can also. I mean, I had once. John, have you got a question out there? What are you basing it there with,
This
Rich?
is the recipe we use in the restaurant, so it's a combination of comfrey garlic, butter, and rendered beef fat. So I'm just basting that as we're cooking it, and it's creating more smoke, more char on the flame. It's helping that get a flame, but also it's just keeping the outside nice and moist and protecting that meat in the middle a little bit as well.
So I mean,
a bit of a barrier.
I was just going to say. So when I was out. It was in Spain. And I had a 120-day aged piece of meat for Jose Gordon.
Oh yeah.
And it was very good. But what had happened is it almost turned into like a ham.
Yeah,
You know,
like
it was
a
quite-
cured cecina.
Yeah, it was quite dense, and I mean, it had a lot of flavour. But I think past a certain point, I mean, so the breaking down of the kind of fibres and the enzymes and stuff, that's sort of 28, 30 days. After that, you're just adding flavour.
It's funny because when we started with the Galician Blonde and the ex-dairy, there was almost like no dry aging in Spain at all. You know,
really?
it wasn't a big thing, and in the space of a decade, they've gone from. Someone's got a question over there.
Sir, a question? Dry aging, how to dry age at home? Well, now, yeah.
Ooh,
Oh.
tricky one. Tricky. I mean,
Yeah.
you can get a mini dry ager for a couple of grand
Yeah.
with humidity control. That's probably the best way.
Because the thing is because, I mean, there's dry aging meat and then there's leaving a lump of meat to rot in your fridge.
Yeah.
Now, the thing is what, so you hear a lot about these Himalayan salt, that, you know, so what you're doing is you need to take all the moisture out of the air and keep it cool, you know, while you're aging. The moisture gets in there, then you get rot, and then you've got a stinking lump of beef.
What you could try, what I did when I first experimented with it, like a cheap under-counter fridge and a small fan, you know, just with a USB cable. You stick that in there, and it worked really well. And it's like 180 quid to set up, you know. But you can only dry age maybe a 5 kilo piece, and the problem is that, you know, you have to take it off the bone. You have to dry age on the bone with the fat on. So then once it's ready, you have to take it out and find a way to take it off, to cut through the bone and so on. So.
And also, so what you've got to do is, so the outside it's no good, is it? So
That's
you'll
right,
get
that'll be oxidised.
a crust will form on the outside, and you've got to cut that away, which is why, so if you have a kilo of beef you dry age, you're going to lose like, what, 20%?
Yeah,
if
20.
you age it out to sort of 60 days. So
That's
you have
right.
to cut all that away, because that's actually poisonous. That'll do you in.
Yeah.
Ah, yes, another question. Of the crust of the... What
They
happened?
go right in the bin.
Go straight in the bin. Yeah.
It's oxidized, so you can't you can't use it. You can't render it down or anything like that.
That's
It's just been as exposed to the elements.
It can really do some damage, can't it? So that's why you know, like sort of you go into a burger joint and generally they'll say you can't have a pink burger. It has to be cooked through, because when you mince, there's always going to be a chance. Obviously, burgers are made of mince, right? So there's always a chance you've got some of that outer layer of meat has gotten into the mix, and then it won't. When with these steaks, right? So even if you cut off the stuff that's bad for you, what you're doing is you're cooking the outside anyway at a high temperature. So it's all going to be made completely safe, even if you missed a bit, you know. But with a burger, it's possible something could get in. So that's why you have to. Well, that's why they say you can actually make. We had Turner and George. Actually, it's James' other company, but he does make burgers that you can cook through. EHO approved, but yeah, it's you don't want to be eating that stuff. No one wants to eat the. Don't know what you call it. What do you call them?
Well, I mean, we do a dry aged burger, medium rare, but it's a tricky subject with EHO.
Yes.
We won't get into that here, but
No, not right here. But I do personally like my burger pink in the middle.
me too.
Rich, hey, you looking? What you
good.
got here now?
So we're coming up to temperature, just giving it a nice rest. You guys need to talk for a bit more.
Okay. Right. Have we got any more questions? Fred, you must have a question. Fred? Come on, Fred. What it? No. Just wait.
You're just here for the meat, right?
Fred is waiting
there's a
for us.
question down
Yes, sir.
Okay, where can I buy some to try on my own barbecue?
That's a great question.
Wait, let me think. We supply a few butchers,
forgot
but Tanner and George.
I've heard of them, Turner and George. They're
Not
very,
bad.
very good. I
Not a bad
believe
butcher.
I hear they deliver nationwide next day via courier, so I'm told. And possibly, it's coming to me now. I think if you go to turnerandgeorge.co.uk. Yeah.
Is that right?
Apparently so, yeah. But obviously the stuff that the stuff that Nemanja's farming, it's not overnight. It's going to be probably 8 years.
That's going to be.
Yeah.
That's going to be long.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
basically.
that's. I mean, tell me about it.
But we don't have. I mean, do you don't supply us any actual blonde, do you?
We
Occasionally.
You get the Galician Blonde for online and for the shop in EC1.
Okay. I mean, I know we have it at the shops. I didn't know we did it online. I thought. It was just
online. Yeah.
Oh, okay, great.
Sell more online than you do in the
But
shop.
you can't. I don't think we specify that, do we? I mean, we just say Galician or Basque.
No. We do both the Basque and the Galician Blonde.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. There you go. Who knew? Who knew? Well, I mean, I would. As I told you before, I don't know
Try
anything
it.
about Turner and George.co.uk. Nothing at all.
In St Albans. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, look, why don't we, seeing as we're all here, why don't we say something about Ibai? So Ibai opened when?
9 weeks ago. 9 weeks ago.
I've been, and as we know, pretty much no one here has been. But when you go, because I'm sure you will, what you cook, the little sandwich, the little toasty,
The croque Ibai, which is Richard's famous invention.
that guy,
Wow.
it's off the hook.
Famous.
Maybe it's only right for Richard to introduce
tell us.
the croque
I mean, this
Ibai.
thing, honestly, it's insane. It's like a little croquette. You, chef.
Please.
No, you put me on the spot. Does everyone know what a croque monsieur is? A croque monsieur. So it's it's a riff on that. So we looked at the ingredients from the French Basque region, and some of the Spanish as well. And I just wanted to try and make that work for a croque monsieur, but our version, the croque Ibai. It's cristal bread, carabinero prawns, boudin noir from the Basque country, Ossuolati cheese, which is a sheep's cheese from the Pyrenees Mountains in the Basque country, and then basically we pan fry that with some weights in some extra virgin olive oil. Both sides, super crispy, just to the point where the prawn is like cooked, opaque, translucent, still juicy, and the cheese is like melted to that same texture that you get on like a double cheeseburger at McDonald's. That it's got that perfect rested cheese, melting, oozing temperature.
Great promo for the restaurant.
Yeah, McDonald's. Everyone loves a McDonald's. Everyone loves it. We've all been drunk before. And then, really crisp bread, and then we finish it with a drizzle of honey from the Basque region and the Espelette pepper, which is a chili pepper indigenous to the Basque country. So, it's all coming like one melting pot of a croque monsieur-esque. And, people are absolutely loving it.
I loved it very much myself.
It's taken a bit of limelight from the steak.
Yeah,
I
that's
wasn't
the-
expecting
yeah,
like
yeah.
a start
No.
people to be
A
excited.
sandwich.
About start, yeah.
So how many of them are you getting through then in a week, do you reckon?
I don't
In a
actually.
week?
In a week?
It's about 350 now.
Really? Bloody
Yeah, some
hell.
people are ordering it for dessert after they've had it for starter.
Are
It's
they?
insane. It's insane.
Oh,
The chefs are very mad at me.
not wrong.
Like,
The meat is good too, yeah.
The meat is also very good at Ibai. Yeah. So at the back, a question.
I am cooking and searing and resting up to about 46 degrees, and after the rest for about 15 minutes, the internal temperature should be about 51, 52 degrees. So if you go over that, it goes to medium, and then so on and so forth. The thing is, with like serving steaks like this, to get the medium rare, it's you have to be an internal temp of like 52 degrees. So when it's served to you, it's not like this searing hot piece of meat. A few people do come in and go, I want my steak really hot, but I want it rare. It's counterintuitive. It doesn't make sense.
And so the thing, I mean, and resting. So resting, it lets the meat relax, but also, obviously, and especially with a big lump of meat, you've hit all the heat on the outside of it, right? So as
Yeah.
you're resting, it's equalising, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah.
It's the middle's actually warming up.
It's going
the
in and
outside's
it's coming
cooling,
out.
but the
It's
middle's
relaxing.
warming. Yeah?
Yeah, exactly. But we're almost ready for the
That guy's
final
not invited,
hit.
he can go.
It was a wasp.
Yeah.
I'm
He's not
I'm
getting in.
allergic.
He's not having any.
But yeah, we're almost ready for the final blast.
Excellent.
So
Excellent.
we're on schedule. We just
We
need
are-
to,
no, we're
we
on
need, we
schedule,
need to
yeah.
fill the time a bit more.
We're just, it's
Rich
us.
is a pro.
Yeah. Fantastic. And what are you? And what are you cooking on over here? Like fuel-wise, you're just on charcoal.
Just charcoal, yeah.
Is that what you do in the restaurant as well?
That's what we
Just-
do in the restaurant
yeah.
as well, yeah. I think with charcoal, it all starts as wood, and then, it gets
Yeah.
smoldered down and tempered and controlled.
Yeah.
Like people, I feel like for smoking meats, wood has
Yeah.
its purpose, but for cooking a hard sear, cooking on wood, it's just too temperamental. It's too hard to
Yeah.
manage. You lose that control.
You get an even
Yeah,
temperature, and especially from this. This is good. This is good gear.
And from the rawness of the wood, like the flavor of the smoke can overpower
Yeah.
the flavor of the beef. which again you don't want that.
No.
So
No,
for me, charcoal works better.
And again, with the with the flavours you've got in here, you wouldn't want to be sticking on ketchup or Stilton, would you?
Yeah, I mean that was the idea with the restaurant, to kind of show off the beef in its most natural form. I mean, once you start putting peppercorn sauce or cheese sauce over any type of meat, there's nothing wrong with it, but you're going to get the texture of the meat, but you're not going to get the flavour of the meat. And with the way Richard cooks it, it's very different to kind of like a hard sear, 5 minutes. It takes like 45 minutes to cook one steak, but the result is something very special.
The fat on these pieces of meat it's like tasting notes of like foie gras and blue cheese in itself.
I see. I love that. I mean, I love those nutty, cheesy flavours you get when you from the fat.
Yeah.
I really do. Oh yes, sir.
Okay, Rich, what would you serve with that in your restaurant? If I came in and ordered, say, the ribeye.
Good question.
Chips.
Peppercorn sauce.
McDonald's chips. I really like those like little potatoes you cube up into like nice little pieces, and then you roast them, get really nice crispy, and then finish them with some rosemary and some chopped garlic, and then just pick a seasonal vegetable. Steam it, bit of lemon juice. That's all you need. A clean salad as well, maybe. That's it.
Chips.
We do beef fat fried chips at the restaurant.
Lovely. They are good chips.
A nightmare.
Yeah, they are. I think we were saying earlier. So when I started getting involved with Turner and George about 2011 or something, and before then I was a designer. I wasn't in food at all. But I met James George, who's the George in Turner and George. And I'd always liked steak, right? So, I mean, if I went somewhere, I'd order the steak, but I could never sort of work out. You'd go somewhere, and I probably wouldn't know there actually is a difference between a ribeye and a sirloin. And I'd just order a steak, and it'd be like, might be nice, might not. But then James, I remember clearly, he gave me a T-bone to take home. We were talking about, starting the butcher. I took this T-bone home, and he told me how to cook it. And it was just like, bloody hell. What did I even like about meat before now? Because it's just, a good steak, there's just nothing like a good steak with a bit of salt.
And it's changed so much since then, because, I think maybe 10, 20 years ago, we just kind of had the rare native breeds, which are great, and we still do, and we should definitely support that. But, now you can get a Jersey cross from Denmark, and we're doing a Galician Blonde cross with Wagyu, and all sorts of things. So, like, the kind of flavour profile of cattle has broadened massively in the last decade.
Absolutely, yeah. I think the one I had, that one, my first steak moment, I think that was a Dexter. We used to do a lot of Dexter. They're kind of little cows, aren't they? So if you have a T-bone, it's quite fat because
but very rich, right?
Very rich, yeah. Really nice.
Yeah, nice.
Really nice.
Right, Rich, you ready?
No, still. Wait for it.
Great,
we've got a question up the back there, sir.
Said 3:35. So
Keeping us going. Do you work for the?
Say
Which
that
steaks
again?
do we choose? Which steaks do we choose? Yeah.
Richard, do you want to go first?
For me, always a ribeye. Like, I love it. Death row meal, really.
Do you know what? I've changed, right? Not my clothes. I mean, I have changed since yesterday. I mean, I just want everyone to know that. But I was a ribeye for sure, but I've started going for sirloin.
It's richer and less
It's richer,
fat.
and I just love that. If it's a good one like this, you get that big bit of fat. Obviously, the ribeye's through with the fat more, but you get that. I love that edge fat. What's you? Where are you going?
I used to be a ribeye man, but as I get older, I'm kind of slowly moving towards the rump.
You love saying that.
Right. Okay.
As I get older.
I'm waiting for it, but no, there's that.
As I get older.
Oh, that was good. But I find that it has even more flavour than the rib. But I guess it's a question of age.
But it's, if you get it from a good animal, and if you like rump from some kind of 2-year-old sort of Tesco's cow may or may not be good. But if it's from one of these, I mean the rump, any part of this is going to be delicious, right?
That's right. And I just find like often when we do tartare, it will come from the chef will choose the rump because it has the most flavour. So there's I think for me personally, I just find that that's where you get the biggest depth of flavour.
What's your favourite steak then? What's your favourite cut?
Yeah,
Everybody loves a ribeye.
Cooking a ribeye is a bit more forgiving as well.
Absolutely.
Next time, try the
Very
rump.
good, very good. Oh, question over here.
It's the end goal is 52.
And where are we now?
65.
We are like 51 degrees.
51. 51, which is
51.
incorrect, isn't it? I know
51.
the difference between it's a 1, not a 2.
Yeah.
I mean,
What-
I can
we're
carve it
waiting
now,
for
but it
1
won't be-
degree, people. 1 degree.
Cancel it. Start again.
Yes.
Cancel.
Yeah, and you look, what are you doing there? You little poke. What's
Yeah,
that? Is it bounceability? What's your?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Just.
Well,
you
what
know,
can you?
there's
What
that-
is that though? You
there's
see
that
chefs
myth,
doing
isn't
that.
there? There's the
The thing with
yeah,
you do with your.
I
I can never
I don't
remember,
know.
but
It also,
you just know. When
that-
you yeah.
It varies on the cut of meat. That works for a ribeye.
Yeah.
Your hand is very much like a ribeye, but the sirloin is a bit different.
So it'll
It's
be.
not
I mean,
as- it's not as
basically,
bouncy.
uncooked it'll be a lot softer. So you
Yeah.
you char on the outside. That's got a bit of
Yeah.
density, and it'll bounce less. Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Look at that. A little bit of salt, tiny bit of salt there.
Yeah. So there's one for you. One.
Yeah,
for
that's
you.
it.
Is that
That's
right?
it. That's it.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Another question?
Just with your herd up at St Albans, can you talk a bit about the feed?
Feed?
Yeah. So we're debating because there's going to be 3 different types. So we're doing a full blood herd, so no cross. We're doing a cross with dairy, and then we're doing a cross with Wagyu. So trying to do like the best of both worlds: best cow from Japan, best cow from Spain. So when we're talking about Wagyu, those cows are often finished on grain. I think in Japan and so on, and Nebraska and then Australia, it will often go up to 800 days. But I feel like it might be a little unnatural for a cow to eat grain for that long. So to cut the long story short, the full blood and the cross with dairy are going to be grass fed exclusively for a long period of time.
Oh, hang on! You just got upstaged by a bit of meat there, man. Look at that!
Look at that. Look at that. Yeah,
Round of
come on.
applause.
Look at that.
Woohoo!
Wow.
Do you know what? I'm looking at that. I'm thinking that is exactly 52 degrees. That's what I'm saying.
I could
tell
tell that as well.
I
Yeah.
can tell that.
But anyway, to finish that, the Wagyu Galician Blonde Wagyu cross will have a bit of grain just to get that additional marbling before it goes into slaughter.
So how many years are you going to ultimately grow your cows to? Like,
So I want to say as long as possible.
Yeah.
But because I'm
it's
impatient.
economics, right? So
Yeah, and farming is we import a lot of beef from all around the world. Well, mainly Europe, but the highest cost of farming is in the UK, mainly because of the minimum wage and so on. So our cost actually is not. There's an abundance of grass in UK, and the feed is relatively cheap.
right.
But you have to have someone looking after the cows, and that's very expensive.
so-
So we're thinking the first cow will probably go into slaughter in about 5 or 6 years, just so we can see what direction we're going in. We can try it, but we definitely want to go over 10. But
Right.
I can only live for so long. So
Yeah. Well, but eating food like this, you're probably going to live, much longer than your average person.
yeah.
As long as you stick to the rump, anyway.
It's all about the rump, mate.
This is looking phenomenal.
Yeah, it's looking crazy good.
Who's? Hello, sir. Yes. I believe it's like just a flaked. Is it Malton?
It's sea salt, yeah.
Yeah, so it's Malton. Yeah, flaked sea salt. Yeah.
We use we actually use
Other
sea
brands
salt.
are available.
We actually use a
Yes,
sea salt from
madam.
the Basque Country.
That's a good question.
Good question.
The rump.
He likes
We
the
don't
rump.
know.
Sorry, say again.
What? So apart from the steak, what other parts of the animal are you most excited about? What do you like eating, and what are your other bits?
Well, I do genuinely like the rump. But for me, I really like the slow cooked cuts. So the tail, the cheek, the brisket, the chuck. The stuff that takes a long time to break down, but again, has has the best of both worlds. Has the tenderness, but also has the depth of flavour. So yeah, I mean, we're often talking about the prime cuts, but it's all about the secondary cuts
I like
that don't get a mention.
Personally, I like Anglais and Bavette are two of my favourites. So they're diaphragm, aren't they? One's top and one's bottom. I can never remember which,
yeah.
but they're both really good. If you get steak frit in France, is that often Bavette? I think.
Yeah, because Bavette is kind of a cheaper cut, but it's quite tender.
But just
or a
hit
flat
hard,
iron.
toasted very quickly, and then really nice and sort of ruby red in the middle.
Yeah.
Yep. Now I do believe we're going to start carrying some of these out now.
Yeah.
So
look at the size of that.
look at that.
A bit too generous.
Is that Fred's? No, that's not Fred's.
Fred's.
No, that little one. That's
Fred's.
yeah. So some have got more fat on. Obviously, the way it's the meat is. Some have got nice big lumps of fat.
This one here,
some haven't.
That's the fillet, so someone be keen with that.
You can when a board is full, you can crack on and hands up if you don't want steak. Okay, gotcha.
One sec, give me.
Form an orderly queue. I thought more people came to listen to hear about the Galician Blonde herd, but it looks like they're here for something else.
Apparently, and there seems to be more people suddenly. But it's that
Shit.
Fred's up. Look,
Right.
Fred's up. Here he comes. Here he comes.
This one,
Yeah, right.
this one's
Okay, they're
ribeye.
approaching.
Stage
They're
invasion.
approaching.
This one's ribeye. Okay, this one is the T-bone, so the sirloin
Okay.
and fillet.
So if you want to make, if you can get through.
Get the big
I mean,
one, get the big
this-
one, mate.
You didn't really have to walk far, did you? Here they come. Absolutely wonderful.
Rich, save me a piece, please.
Yep.
Yeah, I think I'm. Yeah, can we have? Can you save ours from the horse?
No worries, mate. It's all gone. Just gonna have to give me a few more
Well,
minutes,
look, I
guys.
think I think we could say more things here, Nemanja, but I've got a feeling no one's really listening anymore, are they?
I mean, once you bring the steak out, that's it. It's game over.
It's game over.
Right, guys, listen, thanks very much. I think most of this is going to be now in the eating, but things to remember here. So keep your eyes out in about 7 or 8 years for these cows coming out of St Albans. What do you?
speed up.
How sort of cost comparison wise? Is it going to be?
I have no
Actually,
idea.
got a bit more
I don't know.
seasoning.
I'm not sure. I
more
know they won't be
separation.
cheap, but I don't know how much they'll cost.
I mean, it's not you're not getting the benefit of all those years of dairy, are you? So
No. And
Who doesn't
I'm
have
glad
it?
we've got Tanner and George because they'll buy them at any price.
excellent,
worries.
excellent. And obviously, and I just might as well do a little shout out. So you've got Ibai is in St Paul's, which is Nemanja and Rich's latest one. You've got Lura in Marylebone, and Donastia is also
Right across
Marylebone.
the street, yeah.
Right, okay. Go if you want. That is if you like really excellent Spanish steak, cooked impeccably. If you don't like really excellent Spanish steak cooked impeccably,
go.
don't go there.
Home with me.
Yeah, sure. Sorry?
IBA, yeah. That's it. Yeah.